so happy you could join me. Very, very happy to see your face. So since I couldn't whisper recently due to having a very pesky sore throat, I thought I could do a whispering focused video for you, but keep it light, keep it fun with a personality test. I'm going to start out with Myers Briggs, and then from there we'll just see how much time is left. I am currently where I live in the second heat wave of the summer, so I have my AC turned off right now, so I just don't want to film a video too long and have my entire apartment be really stuffy and hot by the time that I'm done, just because I'll be just a tad miserable for me. So we're gonna keep it light and fun, but also at a reasonable time today. So let's get started then, shall we? Just jump right in. So I'm just gonna pull up the test on my phone, and then I thought, in case you weren't familiar, I could just run through a quick breakdown of the personality type options for Myers-Briggs. So they divide it into 4 sections. First, we have extroverts versus introverts. So extroverts are energized by people, enjoy a variety of tasks, a quick pace, and are good at multitasking. Introverts often like working alone or in small groups, prefer a more deliberate pace, and like to focus on one task at a time. And just as like an FYI, not everyone, even if you get labeled this, is gonna fit perfectly into these descriptors. It's more of just a generalized thing. Then we have sensors versus intuitives. So sensors are realistic people who like to focus on facts and details. They apply common sense and past experience to find practical solutions to problems. Intuitives prefer to focus on possibilities and the big picture, easily see patterns, value innovation, and seek creative solutions to problems. Then we have thinkers versus feelers. So thinkers tend to make their decisions using logical analysis, objectively weigh pros and cons, and value honesty, consistency, and fairness. Feelers tend to be sensitive and cooperative, and decide based on their own personal values and how others will be affected by their actions. And last but not least, judgers versus perceivers. And a lot of people misunderstand judgers based realize the value of traditions. I have so many memories tied to those. I make an effort to be popular. I'm gonna say somewhat inaccurate, or maybe I'll say neutral. I'm not someone who's trying to have as many friends as possible. I'm more quality over quantity, but I definitely want to be likable. I sympathize with the homeless. Accurate. I have trouble controlling my impulses. Somewhat inaccurate. It depends. Impulse. Dessert. Usually not. But next one. I think about why people do the things they do. Accurate. Being around lots of people energizes me. Neutral. This really depends. I am helpful to the people around me. Accurate. I am ambitious. Accurate. I like to do things as they were done in the past. Neutral. Because I feel like I'm partially an old lady at heart. And I've learned a lot of random tricks and habits from my mom and aunts. But I also try to be as eco-friendly and sustainable as possible. So with that, I've actually learned that I'm picking up a lot of habits and practices that were more common before I was born, when plastic wasn't as abundant, stuff like that. So, if that makes sense. I avoid being alone. Inaccurate. I forgive easily. Neutral. Very dependent. I like trying out new hobbies. Accurate. I like to stay active. Somewhat accurate. I like to stay active. I like the idea of staying active. Am I currently thriving at staying active? No. But there is no shame. There is no shame. You just do what you can. And at this moment, I am very, very, very busy. So I'm doing a lot of walking. Basically for errands and things like that. So is it best to be totally objective when making a decision? Inaccurate. I think feelings are relevant. I keep my belongings in their proper place. Neutral. I consider myself a tidy person, but I tend to sometimes put things in miscellaneous locations, but then at the end of the day, I'll put them back in their proper place. I have a rich fantasy life. I guess I think I dream a lot and I daydream a lot, so I'm gonna put neutral for that. I have little to say. Inaccurate. I enjoy being there for people when they are feeling sad. Accurate. I would say that's accurate, but I definitely balance that with what I also need at the moment. So if I can be there in a small capacity, even when I'm feeling not my best, I definitely put forth the effort. I would rather go with the flow than have a set schedule. Inaccurate. I enjoy philosophical discussions. I can have them, but I don't want to have them frequently. So I'm going to put somewhat inaccurate. They never get anywhere. If you're having them with the right people, I guess they're enjoyable. I let other people know what I think. Yes, accurate. I avoid say it, but that's that. I like to tidy up. Accurate. I enjoy imagining the future. Say someone accurate. I like it, but it's not like constant daydreaming about it. I find it difficult to express my opinions. Inaccurate. I like to help others with their personal problems. Very accurate. I finish assignments before they are due. I mean, I turn them in on time, but I don't know. Let's just say someone accurate. I like thinking about the mysteries of the universe. Somewhat inaccurate. I have a lot of energy. Neutral. I have more energy when I am working out regularly and exercising, but that is not the case. But I'm at least sleeping right and eating right, so I can't stand when someone doesn't like me. Inaccurate. I'm fine. Not everyone has to like you. That's not my biggest concern in life. I follow my impulses. I would say neutral. I think like based on my job, I tend to sometimes second guess myself or just seek approval before I take that like final step to like, you know, jumping off the cliff, metaphorically, I guess. I enjoy trying to understand complicated ideas. Say accurate or somewhat accurate. I feel very happy. Accurate. I spend time trying to understand myself. Say somewhat accurate. I get a thrill out of meeting new people. Accurate. Especially when you vibe with them, it's just really nice. I need support from other people. Accurate. The people who are my people know who they are because I call them for advice insistently. first meeting me. But then once, like, you get to know me, they realize that I can be a very, like, open and talkative person. So yeah, I'm concerned about others. Accurate. I like to finish my chores before I do something fun. Somewhat accurate. I've been splitting them up per day and then saving or setting aside that time for something fun. I enjoy chatting with new acquaintances. Somewhat accurate. It is important to me to make decisions without being swayed by emotions. Somewhat inaccurate. I carry out my plans. Accurate. It is important to me to understand the bigger picture. Let's say accurate. It is important to me to be of service to others. Accurate. I enjoy examining myself and my life. Somewhat accurate. I find it challenging to make new friends. Let's say neutral. I think sometimes just having those like large gatherings where you know you're gonna then see this person consistently, like it's not like a random one-time event and you all like live in different cities. I think like that's the hardest step of finding new friends sometimes. But once I like meet you, it's not hard for me. I like poetry. Is it accurate? I am a private person. I would say inaccurate. I very much tend to be an open book. I question why things are the way they are. Neutral. Sometimes. Just depends. If something inspires that thought, I let others know that I care about their feelings. Somewhat accurate. I think about the needs of others. Accurate. I like to be needed by other people. I would say somewhat accurate, because I do think there's somewhat of a balance of someone else needing you versus them being able to, be themselves and be functional and independent. That I like to find that balance. I would prefer to come up with an original solution to a problem. Neutral. I am full of new ideas. I would say somewhat accurate. Next step. I like ideas that are easy to understand. This is weird. It says from each pair, choose the phrase that best describes you. But then, okay, I got it. So it's either I like ideas that are easy to understand, or I like ideas that are complex. I'm putting it in the middle. I think it just depends. If it doesn't need to be complex, then why make it complex? I keep my thoughts to myself. I speak up. I spend my time pursuing my goals. I spend my time enjoying life. Put a balance between the two. I put my needs first. I put others' needs ahead of my own. I would also say a balance to this. I'm really firm believer that it's really hard to care for someone else and care for someone else in a really thoughtful and meaningful way when you yourself are in disarray and freaking out and you're not at your best and you're not mentally doing okay. But that's definitely because I think I'm a very individualistic person. imagination. A little bit more towards real life, but I do value my imagination. I value my social status, and I value my privacy. I'm gonna say privacy a bit more. I do things step by step. I jump in and figure things out as I go. Step by step. I am more interested in what is possible. I am more interested in what is real. What's real? I start conversations. I let others start conversations. Neutral, it just depends. I like to cooperate. I like to compete. Slightly more towards cooperate. I make decisions with my head. I make decisions with my heart. I'm gonna put it slightly more towards heart. I follow a plan. I act on impulse. Plan. I prefer to work in a active, bustling office. I prefer to work in a calm, quiet office. Calm and quiet. Oh, this is interesting. I don't think I'm going to do this part, but it says they're currently doing research into how your personality type might correlate with the way you express and receive love. And it's just an optional that won't affect my results. Interesting. Okay. Getting my results. Okay. I got 67% extroverted, 59% intuitive, 63% feeling, and 76% judging. So yeah, I think I said I'd be more thinking than feeling, but actually I'm more feeling, which, when I think about it, I think I'm logical in a lot of my processes, but I do consider like my emotions. Judging, I'm not surprised by. Introverted and extroverted, I think it just really depends. And I know I put for like all the ones about meeting new people that I enjoyed that, and that was accurate. So, okay, the description. As an ENFJ, you are driven by a deep sense of altruism and empathy for other people. You have an intuitive sense of the emotions of others and often act as an emotional barometer for the people around you. You tend to personally experience the feelings of others and feel compelled to act when you see people suffering. But your compassion is not reserved for the people close to you. At heart, you are a humanitarian and you feel genuine concern for the ills of the entire human race. is very, very true. You are tuned into the needs of others and acutely aware of human suffering. However, you also tend to be optimistic and forward-thinking, intuitively seeking opportunity for improvement. And your ambition, but your ambition is not self-serving. Rather, you feel personally responsible for serving yourself and others. And I can't exactly see the rest of the report because then I have to download it. But I like how they kind of broke down the specific traits, and I think a lot of it sounds correct. I think with the introverted and extroverted, I'm probably more 50-50, but I like to have a small group around me very often, so it just depends. But yeah, I feel I know I've taken this test in the past, and I know I usually get N, which is intuitive over sensing, and I know I usually get judging over perceiving,